Hello, and welcome to the East Africa Business Podcast. I'm Sam Floy, and I'm here on the continent to learn about the emerging business scene. I'll be interviewing startups, investors, and organisations who are all playing their part in helping the region develop and grow. And in doing this podcast, I'll be sharing with you the things that I learned along the way. A big issue in Tanzania, and indeed the rest of East Africa, is connecting agriculture buyers and sellers. The fact that produce goes bad because it can't find a buyer is a real problem in terms of incomes that farmers can receive. Ninayo is a marketplace where farmers can list produce, giving buyers a place to search for goods. Maria and I discuss how the marketplace is being built, the plans for making revenue, and how they are using Facebook to their advantage. Now, we're in a cafe, and so at some point you can hear people in the background having a bit of a natter. We've done our best to edit this out, but apologies if you find it distracting. For now, though, here is the interview with Maria. Cool. So I'm here today with Maria from Ninayo. Maria, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So just to get us started, can you tell us a bit about you and a bit about Ninayo?
Sure. So I'll start with Ninayo first. It's an online trading platform for agriculture, and just like the likes of Uber, eBay, and Craigslist, and how they've transformed economies around the world, Ninayo is building one for the people, for Watu, and to address the needs of Tanzanians. It connects food supply and demand. So, for example, just this past weekend, I bought an avocado for 1,500 shillings here in Dar es Salaam. But I definitely know that it's avocado season down in Rwanda, where farmers are struggling to sell their avocados, and they're sitting there rotting, and I could have easily paid the same amount for a bag full. But because they're not connecting to the market, there isn't that access. So Ninayo's purpose is to bridge that gap by connecting the farmers to the buyers.
Got it. And how did you get involved?
I'm a good friend with the co-founder, or the founder actually, Jack. We met when he was still transitioning from Peace Corps to back into the workforce, and he was going to work for Cheetah Development in Iringa, and I was teaching at the international school down there, and that's how we met.
Oh, nice. And so how big is Ninayo?
Well, it's booming, especially lately, because it's got about 10,000 users, and we didn't actually expect such a big response, but it has been really good. It started out quite slow in July, but by July of 2015, but by October 2015, we started to see trade happening and people using the platform. And so to us, that was a moment where we're like, yes, we've reached enough users to create that tipping point where either through word of mouth or different farmers talking to, or the cooperatives talking to farmers and saying, hey, get on this. And it's been great. And we're getting feedback from people where they're saying we've gotten better prices. For example, there's a case with Maria Biswalo, and she was selling her coffee down in Rwanda as well, and she was selling it for about $63 per bag. But once she posted on Ninayo, and she was contacted by a buyer who was willing to pay her $83 for a bag. So that's a big jump for for someone who wasn't expecting that extra 20 something bucks. And so those are the successes that we live for, and we're excited that lots and lots of people are getting online and using it. And Facebook has been a big part of that as well.
Awesome, cool. We'll maybe get onto that in a bit. But just so I can understand, so it is a marketplace, a trading marketplace.
Correct.
So you have the buyers, you have the sellers,
yeah,
and Ninayo sits in the middle.
Correct.
Cool. So talk me through what the experience would be as a seller. What's my interaction with Ninayo? How do I then go all the way through to receiving $83 for a bag?
Sure. So as a seller, as a farmer, I will go to our website and...
Good, on your phone, so on a phone.
On a phone.
So I'm looking at it on my smartphone?
Yes. So you can use your smartphone or your laptop if you have access to one, but what we're really pushing is for that smartphone use. And you can access it directly via Facebook or on our website, which is www.ninayo.com. And you're walked through the different steps the first step, obviously, for all what we expect of people is to register. So it's the registration process. And in that registration process, you don't have to, use an email to register, as a lot of other signups require. You can use your cell phone number to register, and then you tell us how much of whatever crop it is that you want to sell. So if I have 10 bags of beans, I will say I have 10 bags of beans to sell, and I will name my price, and for each unit. So for a bag, I'm selling them for 6,000 shillings, and then from there, it posts onto the website, and we have two major buttons that you can click on. One is to buy and sell, and so both sellers and buyers click on that, and you can use a really simple filter to filter out what it is that you want to buy, whether you're looking. So then the seller's job is done at that point once they've made that post, and then buyers go on and they can use these filters to sort through and say, oh, I'm looking for beans, and here's this lady who's selling beans for 6,000 bag, and how many bags do they have? And then you connect the two, and then they start to communicate. And at the moment, we're a pre-revenue company, so we're not getting any monies out of this. It's really just there to allow this facilitation, this connection for buyers and sellers, and in the simplest of ways, and in a language that is accessible to them, which is in Kiswahili. So our whole website is in Swahili.
Right. Okay. So basically, so you can't. What's the sort of information that's necessary to list your products?
It's very important to tell us how much of the product you have, and the price, and location is a good one, because that's also something that is on that form. And so people know once they make that initial contact, am I interested to get my beans from Mtwara or Kigoma versus Tanga? Looking at where the buyer is, and that makes it, it makes certain implications, especially when it comes to transporting the goods to them. So, yeah.
And who typically deals with the transportation side of things?
Usually the buyer.
Okay, so the buyer will say, now I'm in contact with the seller who has these 6 bags of beans. I'm going to take it upon myself to work out how I'm going to transport them to you.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. Are there any issues with perishability of the goods?
Big issues. And that's exactly why we wanted to come up with this tool, because so far in Tanzania, there's such a discrepancy in terms of how much is being produced in the agriculture sector and what's actually reaching the market and what is lost. It's estimated that it's a $12 billion sector.
So just in Tanzania?
Just in Tanzania. But because there's no efficient link between the farmers and people who are the buyers of the crops, there's about a 40 to 50% loss of that revenue. So that's talking, $4 to $6 billion that's just gone to waste, including this major problems where 30% of our people here in Tanzania are said to be malnourished or do not have enough food. But you have places where food is rotting, waiting to be transported, or waiting for someone to say, okay, I'll offer you this amount, and it's become quite, So we're trying to stop that from happening on such a high level.
So I see. So you've made this efficient means for sellers to say, I've got this excess produce or this produce, and this is my medium for selling it.
Correct.
From the buyer's perspective, what are the other options that they have? How do they currently go about buying their bags of beans?
Going out to the farmers.
So do you have to have, so these individual buyers are going to individual farmers?
Correct.
Really, there's been no aggregation of any side on either side?
to be honest, what we like from the research that we've done, most of the times it's buyer wants a product, goes to where they need to get it, or they will talk to a middleman, and that middleman will then source and sell or resell. And that's when there's a lot of, I guess, misuse of that power, so to say, because then the middleman dictates how much they're going to buy from the farmers and how much they're going to resell it for. And so the farmer does not get the amount that they could potentially get if they were controlling, the whole process of buying and selling. So that's where it is. And we're hoping that because this tool is there, farmers can communicate directly to buyers, and it will eliminate some of the middlemen, or the middlemen would then, try to be a little bit more reasonable with what it is that they're paying farmers for their produce.
Okay. And what are these buyers doing with these bags of beans? Are they consuming them themselves, or what are they doing?
They're taking them to the urban areas and the bigger cities to resell on the market.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from farmer who's growing the beans, how many at the moment? What's the typical chain? How many people are all the way through to you, the consumer?
Wow. I'm not sure, because sometimes cooperatives are in play. So they might be coming together as a group, and then a head of that cooperative then helps to sell the produce. Sometimes, like I said, the buyers go directly to the farmers. They drive off into the villages and finding with a cash bag and say, here, I have this amount and this is what I want to buy. And they do it that way. So the exchange of monies as well. And it's a big risk that a lot of people are taking at the moment with just going and with cash loads and into the middle of nowhere to get their produce or out of the farms. But if you're using this tool efficiently, you're able to communicate prior, and it might not even be necessary for you to make that trip as the buyer to where the produce actually is. And then it gives the farmers the power to really, get a better price for their crops. And that's what we are fighting for. Yeah.
When it comes to the sort of, so I don't know, you say you're pre-revenue. When it comes to, I take it you're at some point hoping to generate revenue.
Correct.
What are some of the thoughts around how you're going to do it? Or?
Yeah, we're still playing around with that because a lot of online trading platforms can find different means of monetizing. And so one of the ways could be, taking a percentage of the sales. The other could be sharing our data, for example, with organizations who are interested, because at the moment we're collecting a lot of data, and which we're thinking is quite valuable in terms of research, not just for academics, but also for the government or other parties and stakeholders in the agriculture business. And so we're looking, and also advertising. So if we give the service for free, but other people want to advertise, for example, not manure, but fertilizers or other agricultural inputs, then they could use us because, hey, farmers and sellers are constantly on our website. And so if I'm going to be flashing a big ad, it's like I have to click that X to get rid of it before I get to my farm. But, things like that. Those are some of the ways that we're thinking.
Nice. And so when do you hope to sort of make your first bit of revenue?
Not sure. I have no idea. Yeah,
but for now, it's just like, let's make a service that people really...
Correct. And really buy into and trust, because because a lot of the farmers here in Tanzania are not highly educated, and they're still worried of even us when we go out speaking to them about Ninayo. They're still unsure of where to lay their trust. Do I trust this person who I've not known, who just comes in and, is talking to me about buying my product and putting it somewhere online, and then an unknown person contacting me. There's still, we still work a lot on a trust basis. And so for us to get them to understand what an online platform is and what it can do for them, has also been one of the challenges that we're trying to break through. And so when we go out with some of our team, that's what we try to talk to them and getting them on board. And really, it has been that word of mouth that has made us grow as fast as we have, because people are like, oh yeah, I've worked with them, I've sold this, and it actually does work. And so it's starting to be like, all right, okay, this actually.
Okay, so you had to work hard for your initial bit of trust.
Yes.
But then it's kind of been passed on.
Correct. Yeah. And so that's been a really interesting period of growth. Yeah.
So other than the sort of gaining the initial trust, have there been any other challenges in the first beginnings of Ninayo?
The gaining of the trust, and also just in general the internet access, and not a lot of people are tech savvy, and so to create a tool that is simple enough for someone to navigate independently has been quite challenging. And so our platform has changed, like our website has changed and continues to evolve as we continue to get feedback on, hey, that doesn't sound quite right, that there are too many buttons, or, we're getting confused once we get to this step. And so that has helped us on the tech side of things.
So is the website, is it being designed and built and developed here in Tanzania?
No, actually, it's being developed in San Francisco, where Jack currently is, and there's a team of programmers and highly tech people coming from the Silicon Valley, pretty much, that are helping us do this and rolling it out and making sure that all the kinks are worked out.
Yeah. And so what's the Tanzania team?
The Tanzania team at the moment, there's myself, where I've mostly been in charge of translations, and I'm starting to get more into the operational side of things. And there's 2 other members who are out in Iringa and Ruvuma, where our grassroots phase started in Ruvuma, and now we're getting into this national digital ad campaign. And from our learnings from that Ruvuma experience, we're spreading it out into Iringa, and then hopefully slowly moving into other regions in Tanzania.
Right. Cool. And just so that I've got it right, it requires a smartphone.
Correct.
The only reason I've met some people and they've said they're doing technological projects with farmers that only work, or that do work on feature phones. Mm-hmm. But yours is just with the smartphones.
Yes, for now it's just with smartphones, although there is a USSD code that is being written, and we're talking to one of the telecommunication company here to see if it will be a viable way for us to be in partnership so that we can get the message out to a wider range of people. And so that's still in the works. It's not been confirmed just yet. But at the moment, yes, you'll need a smartphone, or a lot of our team, that's what they're doing. They're going out and talking to farmers and collecting data on paper and then translating that data into a digitized platform.
Got it. Yeah. Talking of data, is it not necessary for these farmers to have like a data plan, and use 3G or whatever the internet is to do it? Is that not a barrier to some of the farmers?
It's definitely been a barrier, but we're so happy that just a couple of weeks ago, Ninayo was accepted into Facebook's internet.org, which now allows users to access our website without any data charges. While before, when they were trying to move from our Facebook page to our actual website, it would pop up with a little message saying you're about to navigate outside of Facebook. Now data charges are going to, and a lot of people would not accept. And so now we're really excited that Facebook has seen the viability and importance of our work, and they've given us access for that.
Cool. So, so just to sort of go back a bit, so Facebook is free when you're here in Tanzania.
Yes, through most of the telecommunication companies, correct.
So if I load up my phone and go on Facebook, there's no, I don't need a data package to do that.
No.
But if I was to go on another website, then you start using the data.
Correct.
But you're saying that there's like this club of websites where it's free.
Correct.
So just out of interest, what are some of the other things in the club?
To be honest, I'm not sure what else is available for us, at least on my part. This is what I know, that we've been accepted into that club. Okay. And so we're just happy because I think at the moment in Tanzania, the free of charge apps that can be used, WhatsApp can be used for free of data for some of the telecommunication companies, and Facebook for sure. And so these are some of the platforms that people have been, telecommunications have been advertising to their users to pull in users and say, hey, we're going to offer you free Facebook and free Twitter and, a lot of the social media platforms for free.
And so I'm guessing that Facebook is like ultimately footing the bill.
Correct.
Cool. But out of, I don't know, goodwill, what's their motivation behind?
I don't know.
But for now, you're not going to question it.
I'm not going to question it. We're just taking it and running with it, and we're excited. So
yeah. Very cool. Very cool. When you sort of look over the next sort of 3 years, what do you think Ninayo might look like?
Wow, I think we're going to be doing a lot of great things, and we're going to reach a lot of people, just because I know as we speak, the government is also trying to push advancement in the agricultural sector, and we already have the infrastructure in place in Tanzania in terms of networks and availability of internet and things like that. It's just that we've not tapped into it. And so we're hoping that when we link the two we have the technological side of it, the telecommunications, and we have agriculture. And if we push through, a lot of this will be digitized and more efficient.
Where's the funding come for this if you've not yet made any revenue?
At the moment, because we're being funded by Expa Labs, we got a grant through them, and they fund startups which they think align with their mission, which is to push the accessibility of technology and things like apps out there. So people who sit on this board, for example, that Jack had to go and meet with are, the co-founder of Uber and the co-founder of Foursquare. And so those kind of apps and platforms that have kind of revolutionized the use of technology in trading. And so that's where that funding is coming from. And also we've just received another grant from the UN to push the telecommunication side of things, to allow the use of mobile money and interactions between farmers and sellers.
Correct. Yes, so at the moment, is mobile money a thing in Tanzania?
It's a huge thing. Mm-hmm. It's a huge thing in Tanzania. People are paying their bills, they're sending money back and forth, and it will be a shame not to tap into that, because if I can send money within minutes or seconds, really, once I'm done with my transaction, it goes and it's received on the other side of the country. Why not do that rather than go to a bank and stand in line and fill out forms and all that? So that's where we're hoping to make those.
Yeah. It sounds like a pretty good idea, right? So, why has it not been done before?
Good question. I don't know. It's a good question. Why hasn't it been done before? Because I think the whole e-commerce concept is quite new to Tanzanians, especially the majority of the population. For example, farmers make up about 80% of the Tanzanian workforce. And a lot of the farmers that we're meeting don't have access to the internet or any of this. And so that advancement has, that for us to come up with this idea, that's why at the beginning we were even surprised that it finally worked, because we weren't so sure, based on the users that we were looking for, that it would. And so, yeah, I think it's just that whole idea of e-commerce, and people we're not ready for it. But I think now there's a lot more access, and people are talking, and people are getting onto Facebook, and it's becoming popular to be online. And so people are even like upgrading their phones to get smartphones, and the smartphone market has also grown big. A lot of the telecommunication companies are offering deals to get like a smartphone, because they want you to pretty much buy data as well, and not just calling minutes or SMSing. And so I think it's the whole nature of things. It's changing. We're getting there. And yeah, we just happen to kind of trump the whole game for now.
Yeah. So we'll just do a few more questions.
Sure.
That's okay. So it feels like we're at the crest of this thing that's about to happen. I don't mean to bring the tone down, but what might destable it? What are some of the issues that you think might happen?
Some of the issues, I think it will go back to people trusting that it works, and changing people's minds. It's a cultural thing, like to change someone, from saving their money, under their mattress, to wanting to put money into a bank. And now we're saying, no, don't put it in the bank. Put it on a phone where you can easily, access the marketplace. I think that's going to be a major challenge. And already we've been talking to people, and that's one of the things they're still hesitant about. And so, yeah, although for people who are the buyers might buy into it a lot more and much quicker than the sellers. So I don't know. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds, from the sounds of it, you're providing trust where it didn't exist before, and so it kind of makes sense that the biggest risk is that trust.
Yeah, because I'm sure if one deal somehow goes wrong, and it was maybe a major deal, and they will say, oh, but I did it online, and they stole my information, but we need to build that. And again, our culture is that of word of mouth. So if it happens in one region, trust me, it will spread like wildfire within days, and they won't see it as it was just a crook who tried to, go and finagle their way by using, to defraud people using our tool. But that's the risk that we have to take. But then,
just quick, what does Ninayo mean?
Ninayo means I have it.
So when would you say it in a sentence?
I would say if somebody came and said, hey, do you have mangoes? I will say, I have it. Like in a marketplace, like, Ninayo. So, yeah, that's what it means. Awesome. So it's really a tool for the farmers. It's like, I have it. Now come get it.
Like
so, yeah.
Awesome. And people listening at home, or farmers listening as well, how can they hear more about Ninayo, or get in touch, or see what you're up to?
You can visit our platform on Facebook. Our Facebook page is very, very active at the moment and quite accessible, and we answer messages quite promptly. I would say we try to do a 24-hour response time, and also to just visit our website on www.ninayo.com and they can access it in Kiswahili. The landing page is in Swahili. And you have an option to view it in English as well. So even for people who are just curious and want to see what it's all about, then it's not even 2-minute registration time, and you're in, and you can view different sides of this awesome tool.
Awesome. Cool. Well, Maria, thanks so much.
All right. Thank you, Sam.
Before we head, just a quick moment to say thank you for listening. You can see the show notes of this episode by heading to samfloy.com/podcast and then searching for the episode title. That's samfloy.com/podcast. Now, a few people have got in touch and have been asking about how this podcast came about. And well, it all started when I took a one-way flight to Rwanda to seek out business opportunities across the region. I'm now at the stage of formulating a bit of a plan of the business I want to go into based on all of these podcast interviews, and we'll be keeping a record of what I get up to on my blog. And so if you're interested in being kept in the loop, you can sign up to the newsletter there. Again, it's samfloy.com. Also, if you have any questions, comments or feedback about the podcast, or indeed anything, please feel free to email me, podcast@samfloy.com, and I'd be very happy to chat. In any case, have a great week and speak to you soon.